Seriously, Europe, what are you doing? Is there nobody in Europe with spine and moral fiber and moral clarity like Pedro Sanchez? Is there nobody? Pedro Sanchez is convening a meeting of like-minded leaders from all over the world, left of center progressive leaders, including Lula, and I think Zoran is going to video in to this conference. I'm just reading one statement from Pedro Sanchez. He's saying raising one's voice against an illegal war is not always comfortable, but it is undoubtedly the right thing to do. Neutrality in the face of injustice is not prudence, it is renunciation, and we will not renounce who we are. That is what moral clarity sounds like, folks. On the other hand, we have Keir Starmer and Macron convening in Paris and getting on a video call with 50 other countries. To do what? To figure out a way to remilitarize the Strait of Hormuz. I don't know how else to put it. To use their military in what they're calling a defensive protection of commercial shipping traffic through the Strait of Hormuz. And this is coming after Iran has announced that they agree to open the Strait of Hormuz. I mean, this is absolutely ludicrous, coming back to back on these announcements. What is the plan? To remilitarize the strait and to antagonize the Iranians, again, creating a situation where, the Houthis may come into the picture, the Iranians may feel threatened. Again, the UK is the least trusted of all the countries that Iran has had to deal with. There is a historical reason for that. So that is what is going on at the moment. And as expected, there are conflicting back and forth between Washington and Tehran, with Tehran saying, nope, we did not agree to hand over our uranium to the United States. Meanwhile, Trump is posting that they have agreed to hand over nuclear dust. Nuclear dust. Not sure what that means. I think he thinks that in June, when they bombed what they thought were nuclear sites, there was some dust that arose, and that is what he's grabbing. Very hard to understand what it is, but I'm sure that the field marshal is just biting his tongue and just trying to tell the Iranians, just stay calm. Yeah, that back and forth is really ridiculous and ludicrous. Netanyahu is having a hissy fit. He is saying that they will continue to do what they need to in Lebanon, and they are creating a security belt. They have ethnically cleansed 50 villages, ethnically cleansed them. They're creating a yellow line, as they did in Gaza, and they will not allow anyone to return to their homes in the territory that they have grabbed. I cannot imagine that this is acceptable to the Lebanese. So the Lebanese president is trying to assert sovereignty over everybody. So Mr. Aoun, who is the president of Lebanon, is saying that they will exercise sovereignty over all their lands, which means they want Israel out, and they will not serve any external interests, which means that they don't want Iran to speak for them. Do they want Pakistan's help? That remains to be a mystery. But basically, I think what they're signaling is they don't want to be wrapped up in any of the geopolitical tensions between America and Iran and America and Israel, but they want to exercise sovereign rights over their land, which means that they want Israel out. So, again, as I said before, not sure if Israel occupying these 50 villages and creating a security belt. By the way, in the 1980s, that security belt was called the DMZ. Israel had an incursion of 25 miles into southern Lebanon, which they occupied, and they called it the demilitarized zone. Hezbollah fought them back and fought and fought and fought, and Israel had to exit the DMZ because they were taking too many casualties, and it had become a serious problem, and they couldn't sustain their occupation. So that kind of situation is re-emerging with, guerrilla warfare, with casualties on both sides. It is horrible. We've seen this movie before. 25 miles into southern Lebanon, they had invaded and occupied for many years. I feel like we have pressed rewind because we all remember it very clearly, what had happened at that time. If Trump really wants to make a difference and really wants Israel to stop, as he is saying, he's saying in a post this morning that he is ordering Israel to stop the bombing, that Israel will not be allowed, he said, for any further bombing of Lebanon. He said enough is enough. These are his words in his Truth Social post, which has obviously got the Israelis all upset. But these are the words of the President of the United States, that he is ordering Israel to stop and there will be no further bombing on Lebanon, and enough is enough. In response to that, Israel is saying, we are going to occupy this land and we will not let people come back to their ancestral homes. Exactly what they did in Gaza, to a T. So let us see how that all pans out. And of course, Mr. Trump is waxing poetic about Field Marshal Asim Munir and the Prime Minister of Pakistan, and there's a general love fest and all of that. And there's also all sorts of rumors emerging from Islamabad that not only will there be a second round of talks, but there will be high-level presence that the Turkish Prime Minister and Qatar and Saudi Arabia and United States and so on and so forth are going to show up in Islamabad to seal the deal. That's the rumor. So let's see how it all pans out. But that is what is happening. Meanwhile, the market has been going gangbusters, with the Dow up over 1,000 points, with the S&P up over 103 points. That's roughly 2% rise in both the Dow and the S&P, and the oil futures, of course, have fallen almost $12 to $13 on the news this morning. And obviously, a lot of this news was announced just before the market was opened. So there is that. We've got market manipulation going on. So yes, we have another 2 hours in the trading day, but I'm going to assume that the market will remain gangbusters unless some statement is made and everything is reversed. But I think ahead of the weekend, it's going to remain at this happy talk, as I call it. So there we are. Netanyahu is seething. Trump is looking to trumpet some sort of victory. Iran is saying, not so quickly, my dude. And seems like Pakistan is like, hold on, everybody take a deep breath. it's status quo. We're not going to move from here. Things are calm and good. And next step is to have a framework for a second round of talks and then potentially sealing the deal. But we're not there yet. And as they say in Farsi, Dilli dur ast. Delhi is still a far destination. This is used as a euphemism for we have a long way to go, folks. Dilli dur ast.